industry providers that I've come across with. My name is Byron Stauffer. I'm the Executive Director of the Indiana County Office of Planning and Development. Welcome to the 2012 PA Gas Expo. We're here also representing the Indiana County Center for Economic Operations, which is an affiliate organization of 5 economic development-minded organizations: the Indiana County Commissioners, the Indiana County Chamber of Commerce, the Indiana County Development Corporation, Indiana County Tourist Bureau, and certainly IEP with all of its business service entities throughout the university. We're going to go ahead and get started right away, and so you can have an opportunity to hear from our panel. Obviously, safety, emergency management has been a big topic throughout the conversation with regard to natural gas drilling. Certainly an industry-wide issue and concern, and was heavily dealt with throughout the last few years, but got a lot of attention also through the Governor's Marcellus Shale Commission report that was put out last year. There was a number of recommendations that were made in that report, and that obviously can be found online. So, but you're here today to hear from our panelists. I'm going to go ahead and, no particular order, introduce them one by one, have them tell them who they are, and then we'll do some back and forth discussion. And then towards the end of the session, there'll be an opportunity for Q&A from the audience. The first panelist I want to introduce is Joe Jelinek. Joe is the Regional Sales Manager with Ritter Technology. And Joe, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and what you do briefly.
Okay. Everybody hear me okay? Is that on? Okay. I'm with Ritter Technologies, Byron said. We are a distributor for hydraulic and pneumatic components and lubrication components. We deal with companies such as Harper Hannifin, Graco, Interpack. We not only provide the products, we assemble them as systems. We provide safety training with regard to the products that we sell for our customers on site at their facilities. And we're located in Pittsburgh. We're based out of the Zelian-Opal area. We have a local shop in Homer City. We've been around since 1951 in service pretty much the Rust Belt. We're in Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee, Erie, Pennsylvania, and several locations throughout the region here.
Okay, thank you, Joe. The next panelist is Tom Stutzman. Tom is the Director of the Emergency Management Agency and 911 Center for Indiana County. Tom?
Thank you, Byron. My name is Tom Stutzman, as Byron mentioned. Part of my job with emergency management is to work kind of in the planning area with all of the service industries, the drilling companies, everybody who is working within the county boundary. And in addition to that, we're also working with local government to make sure that they're aware of the plans and the well sites that are being developed within the county, and with the emergency response community to make sure that they're aware of what's occurring in their area. As part of this, we work with the local emergency planning committee, which is a committee appointed by the county commissioners to deal with plans in advance of any emergency occurring at those sites. Unfortunately, we also deal with transportation emergencies, and as the chief of the hazmat team in the county, the increase in transportation due to gas drilling in Indiana County really isn't anything new. We have seen this come and go over the last 30 years, and the product has changed, but the hazard has not. So we're learning to deal with the new hazards that are involved in the Marcellus Shale.
Thank you, Tom. Next panelist is Brian Brocker. Brian is with IEP's Pennsylvania OSHA consultation program. Brian?
Yes, Brian Brocker with the Pennsylvania OSHA consultation program. What we do is we provide a free health and safety service small industries throughout the state. We operate as under a 90% funded grant that is operated through the IEP Safety Science Program, and the 10% is picked up by the state. We will come out and to your facilities, in this case, in your drilling facility, and conduct a mock OSHA inspection and help you comply with OSHA regulations. Hopefully, give you some ideas of when these guys will come out later. What we do is we look at the OSHA regulations, and one of the areas cited, such as consensus standards, which uses the API standards and other general industry ANSI standards to cite some of the local industry's hazards. But we give you a amount of time to correct the hazards, and we do have affiliation because of our program. We do have affiliation through OSHA. If you're not compliant within a certain amount of time, we do have to turn that over at that time. But it is a good resource to get some hazards corrected before OSHA would show up.
Thank you, Brian. And also my pleasure to introduce Danny Sacco. Danny is the Director of the Safety and Security at Indiana Regional Medical Center and is very involved throughout many of the emergency management services around the county, and your service to the county is very much appreciated, Danny. So introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, Brian. Danny Sacco, Director of Safety and Security at Indiana Regional Medical Center. I'm also responsible for disaster and emergency preparedness there. I am also the chairman of the county's local emergency planning committee that Tom referred to, so I work for him whenever we do that. I'm also a state fire academy instructor, and one of the things that I think is appropriate for today's presentation was I was just appointed and asked to sit on the state's State Fire Academy Advisory Committee, Training Advisory Committee, so that there's curriculum being developed to provide the first responders in the event of emergency at these sites. So I'm also privileged and pleased to be able to sit on that committee to be able to help develop that curriculum so we can provide that to first responders.
Okay, thank you, Danny. As you can see, we have a very well-informed and panel here today, so let's get into some dialogue. Joe, from an industry perspective, if you would not share your thoughts as what are some of the most important safety concerns in the shale gas industry today?
As far as what we see, some of the concerns that we have out there are some of the hydraulic tools that we sell, specifically the torque-wrench equipment that's used in the field quite extensively to take apart some of the pumps, for instance, that are used on frac trucks. These guys have potential of having either a pinch point or even in some cases locking mechanisms on the tools that they currently use that could possibly injure their fingers or hands if they get caught in a certain position. We also see hydraulic hose as a safety issue. If these guys are running the hoses under pressure and they get, for instance, a pinhole leak in the hoses, that can be a problem. It only takes about 100 psi to puncture the skin, and you get hydraulic fluid into your system. That can be very damaging to the body. About half the time, if this happens and it doesn't get treated, there can be a chance for amputation of the limbs that are affected. So that's definitely a concern.
Okay, thank you. Tom, you mentioned about the planning, both you and Danny mentioned about the planning and activities throughout the county and the county's involvement in that. Given the, not only to Indiana County, but, obviously safety and emergency management is regional. Are we prepared to tackle some of the events locally that we've seen in some of the other counties that have happened? Are we prepared? And if you could also address accurate locational information is very important for these sites. So the 911 process, and so you maybe address those two issues, please.
Sure. Our role in all of this really starts at the point of site development. With the 911 center being one of the component parts of the operation, we need to be able to guarantee that the location of any of the well sites is very easily identifiable. In the industry, of course, all of the service companies that need to travel in and out of those facilities are pretty easily directed by the company that is drilling at that site. But whenever we have an emergency there, whether it be for an ambulance response or for a multi-agency response to that location, finding it sometimes becomes difficult. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania actually, through DEP, had undertook through a training process in each county, in all 67 counties, to look at how we can get a 911 style street address assigned to these rural locations. And what makes this difficult in some cases is the drill site may actually be located in a particular township within a particular county, but the access road to get to it actually comes from somewhere else, because some of these sites in the rural areas are very remote, and the access road is a temporary road that's built for the purposes of drilling. So we look at those areas and we work hand in hand with our neighboring counties to assign a physical location address to those well sites. Now that only works if the drilling company who is going to be working there provides us that information up front, because in the state, the only way for us to find that is to start searching permit issuances. So as we look at what DEP posts as a permit, of course, we have a lat long on where the hole's going to be poked in the ground, and that's about it. So we have worked in conjunction with a lot of the drilling companies from the very beginning to identify where is this location going to be, can we get an address attached to it. And that starts the planning process. So we know which county it's in, which municipality it's in, and we work with those first responders, whether it's in Indiana County or in one of the adjoining counties, to make sure that should an emergency occur at that location, that from the get-go, from the time that call comes in, we have the ability to send the correct and closest services to that drill site. Now, the other thing that is an issue here, the ability to call from the well site. In most cases, people from their residence or from your home or along the road, you take your cell phone out and you dial 911. In some of these remote locations, there is no cell service, and a lot of the